The moon hung heavy above the canopy, its pale glow filtering through the skeletal branches of the Oboro Forest. An eerie hush blanketed the trees as if the world itself held its breath. Beneath the darkness something stirred, ancient, silent, and watching. For centuries the villagers of Coil spoke of the midnight coil, a legend whispered around dying campfires and passed between trembling lips. They spoke of the Forest Cobra, not just a beast but a force of nature wrapped in scales as black as obsidian and eyes that shimmered like moonlight on still water. Few had seen it. Fewer still had lived to tell the tale. Joren, a young tracker with more courage than sense, didn't believe in legends. The stories, he thought, were old men's attempts to put fear in restless youth. He entered the Oboro with his blade and bow, a necklace of bone charms his grandmother had begged him to wear. "It is not just a serpent," she warned, clutching his face with weathered hands. "It listens. It waits. It remembers." He had laughed then, kissing her forehead before vanishing into the tree line with the scent of wild rosemary clinging to his clothes. The deeper he ventured, the more the forest seemed to lean inward, as though the trees themselves conspired to trap him. Birdsong died. Insects quieted. Even the wind held back its breath. Joren moved with purpose, following signs only he could read. Crushed leaves, broken twigs, the faint ripple of something large sliding through the undergrowth. He paused at a clearing where the moonlight spilled like liquid silver across the ground. There, etched into the earth, was a spiral, a perfect coil, the mark of the Forest Cobra. His breath caught. Logic warred with superstition. Still, he stepped closer, hand tightening around the hilt of his blade. The moment his boot touched the symbol, a hiss split the silence, low, drawn out, ancient. The trees shook as if waking from slumber. From the shadows slithered the midnight coil. It was massive, its body coiling endlessly, eyes glowing like twin lanterns. Its scales didn't reflect the moonlight, they consumed it. Time slowed as Joren stood frozen, weapon useless in his trembling grip. The cobra rose, its hood flaring like blackened wings, its tongue tasting the air. Joren tried to move, but his legs betrayed him. He could only stare as the creature's gaze pierced into him deeper than sight, probing memory, intention, and fear. Then it spoke, not with words, but with presence. A heavy weight settled over his mind, whispering forgotten truths. The forest was not just alive, it was conscious, and the cobra was. Humans had forgotten their place, carving paths where none should be, burning what should never be touched. The midnight coil had been silent for generations, watching, waiting, bound by a pact long broken. "You seek to hunt me?" the presence asked, not in sound, but in soul. "I sought proof," Joren replied within, more thought than voice. "Not harm." The cobra's head tilted, unreadable. Then it lowered itself, its body weaving hypnotic loops around the clearing. From its breath rose visions of fire, steel, and shattered oaths. Of those who came before him, each ending the same. Fangs, screams, silence. But in Joren it sensed something different. Not purity, but potential. A choice yet unmade. "If you leave," it offered, "you carry this burden. Speak of me and your words rot into madness. Forget me and you lose yourself in dreams, but stay." Joren felt the shift. The forest seemed to draw closer, the cobra's coils tightening not around his body but his fate. "And you become part of the coil." His heart thundered. He understood now why the stories were inconsistent, why survivors rambled. The midnight coil wasn't a beast to slay or a curse to break, it was a test, a reckoning. And now it offered him a place within it. He thought of his grandmother's eyes, of Coil, of all he knew and all he'd lose. Slowly he lowered his blade to the earth. "I will go," he said, "and I will remember." The cobra nodded, vanishing into shadow as if it had never been. The forest sighed, released from its tension. Birds stirred, leaves rustled. The night resumed. Joren emerged from the woods at dawn, changed. His eyes held a distant glint as though he'd glimpsed eternity. When asked, he said nothing. When pressed, he only smiled. But at night, beneath the full moon, he traced patterns into the dirt, spirals within spirals. And somewhere deep in Oboro's heart, the Forest Cobra watched and waited.